Hello and welcome to the source. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Jim. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Tell us, who are you and what do you do?
My name's Lance Sapera. I'm a people leader with a focus on TA. I'm currently looking for my next opportunity, and I'm
Okay,
excited to talk with you today.
great, great. I want to start this off with a trick question, and I think you are qualified to answer it. My question is this: how can you hire more people by interviewing less? Go.
It is a trick question in the sense that how can it's that efficiency piece we're always looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what we found in our reality at Talend was as the world went remote because of COVID, was just as our new TA team was forming. And the mission that we had from the organization is prepare to hyperscale. And in my early listening and learning the business and learning my team, what had made the company so successful was this personalized recruiting process,
Hmm.
basically for every hiring manager. And so while that was yielding results in terms of finding people who uh, added value to the team and were most of the time good fits, it often meant everybody on the team had to interview someone. So the other piece we had is that was working, but yet we were hearing from the business we need to hire faster, we need to be quicker, we want to bring our costs down, all these business pieces too. And so our team got together and started thinking about, well, what's out there, what's been done. And there was a lot of Gartner, ERE, your organization had information on how can you get the highest quality of hire basically in the fewest steps. And so we created a working group. We called it the TA Advisory Council. It was comprised of people on the TA team who wanted to be part of simplifying our process, bringing some structure, but also where can we find time back? And so by making it not just a TA thing, but by involving the business. So we had representatives from every business unit in every region. So it became a global company wide conversation. It gave us a chance to share data. Like there's a ton of information out there that says if you do, in our case, it was a recruitment partnership meeting. Companies call it different things, intake meeting, what have you. If you get aligned before you start, you should be able to get to a 90% quality of hire in 4 to 6 interviews. We averaged 8 plus. So the opportunity that we presented the business with is how can we do this? And so as my former chief people officer used to describe it, building in buy-in. So instead of telling the business, here's what we're going to do, this many steps, this many interviewers, we talked about it. We got great input from them. It helped our team own it because we were going to be responsible for delivering this. And so over time, this took 9 plus months to go from a cafeteria style, how do you want to hire somebody, Jim, to a 4 stage, ideally 4 to 6 interviewers process. And that we were also working closely with our ATS vendor to get this in the system and make it easy administratively too. And so as we started to do this, what we found was, and we were doing a lot of measuring, we ran a lot of trials. And so from each of those tests, measure, learn from it, double down, or maybe pivot. Um, and what we started to find is that by going to this simpler process and by working with the business to do it, we had the business saying, I want to do this now. So pulling us to do it as opposed to a HR making you do something. So that was a key piece, was building in that support to the tune that they wanted more training as we started doing this. And then the other factors that helped us really get the acceptance, not just the acceptance, but the adoption and then the continued improvement that followed was when your team goes from 8 to 10 interviews to 4 or 5, we were measuring the time saved and not just the shorter time to hire, but the amount of time that the sales team had to prospect and do sales calls, that customer service leaders and their teams had to solve problems, that the engineering team had to collaborate and code and develop. All of that time that was being given back to people to be the verb they are, that was where the how can you hire more by doing less. We found that in the first 2 years of doing this, the business got back, that's not good English, the business was returned 2,000 plus hours that
Wow.
previously would have been spent on interviewing. And so that was just something that again was a company win and not just a TA or HR doing something to the business.
Wow, that's very interesting. When you put this new process together, did you? I'm envisioning a process map where everyone involved in the company can see this is where they are in the overall process, and this is why your particular piece of the puzzle is important. Did you guys do something like that? Because that's sort of the thing I was envisioning as you were talking about this.
So we did in the sense that we were moving fast, and again, the world was still learning how to work in an all
Mm-hmm.
virtual environment because of COVID, and then other things that happened around the world, as we know. Uh, a lot of the onus went to the recruiters, and that was part of why the recruiters' involvement in the simplifying of the process and the adoption of the structure meant that in many cases, our recruitment partnership meeting was not only a Jim, tell me about the skills and experiences that you need for someone to be successful in this role, but it also became this requirement that the recruiter needed to train you, train your team. And some people, they're busy, they don't want any part of it. So developing that influencing skill, building those relationships in something that was other than I need this many years of sales experience in an enterprise environment now became how do we work together? How do we collaborate? And so that built just a ton of trust and partnership with the recruiters and the teams that they were working with that ended up creating this snowball effect of you will, of they understood the process, but all this extra, really not unexpected, yeah, unexpected, unintended consequences of you and I are working better together because we've also been working on how we work together.
Wow. So just certainly a step beyond being an order taker.
Exactly.
And being
Exactly.
more of a talent advisor, which is a term I hear a lot, for sure. Did I hear from you? Did I hear also that you did you train some of the managers in how to interview? Did I hear some of that in there?
Well, some of the other things that happened because it was an entire organization effort to hire better people faster
Yeah.
was that working with our HR business partners, that they were also helping with the change management piece for the business.
Okay.
Um, we had our L&D team because the business is saying we'd like some training. They got involved and they were part of it and working with the business and getting volunteers who um, wanted to be better hiring managers, better interviewers, or were already very good at that and had a lot to share. How do you leverage those skills to teach the rest? So a lot of that was also underway and being developed. And we eventually had a hiring manager training that we had piloted with the business was well received. But we also learned in that these big 2 hour chunks, lots of people don't have that much time to dedicate to do the training. So we then had the next iteration was, and we didn't quite get there because of being acquired, but it was simple modules, self-paced, do when you want. There was a good iteration there and involvement of the whole company. And again, not just the TA team doing this to the business, but the business and the people team working together.
These modules, were they like really short? I imagine like 5 minute, 10 minute modules.
That was the idea.
Okay.
And then, of course, based on the relationship that the recruiters and the hiring managers or the recruiters with the interview teams had developed, if they wanted to go deeper or talk about this more, of course, they were there for the business to do that. And that
Right.
further strengthened partnerships. It also helps when maybe there's disagreements or party fills. And so, what are we doing? How can we improve? How can we get better? It just created the ability to strengthen partnerships and not just do easy things.
Yeah, this feels to me like a very top down approach. Like the leadership has to be behind this for it to be successful. I think it would be harder for someone who is a TA leader uh, to push up to management says we should be doing this. Am I wrong in that, or what do you think?
You are absolutely right. And part of that company-wide effort to
Yeah,
do this came from a tremendous amount of support from my peers on the people leadership team who understood we needed to do this and wanted to do this, but also with the help of our chief people officer, getting some visibility and time with the executive leadership team so that you had this push from the individual recruiter and hiring manager who really want to work well together to hire somebody great who will accelerate the team. But then you've also got the chief revenue officer, the chief customer officer, the chief everyone
right.
telling and not telling, talking with their teams about the importance of this initiative. So when you've got grassroots and leadership support, it just, I mean, it's people know this. It helps when
Yeah,
everybody is working on this. And then another piece was just that we measured a lot. We became a data-driven organization so that it wasn't just anecdotes. We had um, data to show where we were improving. We measured candidate experience, real effort there, and being able to take information back to the business to say, here's what candidates are saying. All those kind of things um, help people understand what they're doing. And it also leads to great questions. Coming back to the training piece, you asked a good question about one of the things we were measuring candidates on was, did you get feedback? Because we know in this day and age, candidates have choices. And there's also, in most cases, an interest in if it's a no from your organization, why? What can I do better? And so some of our businesses were not great about giving the recruiters feedback. And so when a candidate says, can you tell me something that's going to help me with my next interview or maybe with your company next time? They were kind of put in that awkward position of sometimes making something up, or the hiring manager didn't really give me anything. I'm sorry. And nobody likes that. So
right.
when we started sharing that data, instead of it being a recruiter frustrated with a hiring manager who won't, Jim, just tell me something for the candidate. Um, the business started seeing this and say, well, how can we give good feedback? Or what can we say so you don't get the company in trouble? All those kind of things. That gave, again, another opportunity for our L&D team to get involved in the training. Same thing with our diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging initiative. When we were asking candidates, did you get to share your authentic self with us? And we had data with that. We brought that with our DEIB team, and we were able to create some training to help teams with goals we had, like to increase women in leadership positions across the company and other stated goals we had. That gave us the opportunity with data to get into what can be uncomfortable or awkward or hard conversations. So there was a lot of data behind it too.
Yeah, it's hard to argue against hard data when you have it in your hands. So I'm hearing what I'm hearing from you is that top down approach for sure. You got to have leadership pushing this to make it happen. When the entire organization is recruiting, recruiting is easier. And you can never have enough data. And I would suspect that with that data, you can say you can make the argument that this data proves that we're saving 2,000 hours. I think you said of recruiting time, adds some money to that some kind of way. This is how much money we're saving, and I would dare say permanently change the organization that way. Very good insights. Did I miss anything in that recap?
You did not. You did not, and it's fun getting a chance to talk about it because now in hindsight, I just appreciate it so much more. The effort from our senior leadership team to really support hiring is important. And then the work of every recruiter and everybody who touched a hire to find the right next people to make the company. We were having some success, which ultimately led to us being acquired. And that's, I think, something everybody's proud of.
Very good. Very good. If someone wanted more information about this or just to touch base with you, obviously you do great work. If somebody want to talk to you about an opportunity or just talk to you in general about what you shared today, how could they find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Lance Sapera. I think I'm the only Lance Sapera there. And I'd love to connect with people. One of my favorite things about this people space that we work in, this business space, is just the opportunity to learn and grow. And you talk with people every week about how much the space is changing. As much as it isn't, there's just a great opportunity. So I'd love to hear from people and share best practices and learn.
Great. To make it easier, I'll put it in the video description. So
Okay.
check it out, connect with him. And sir, Lance Sapera, thank you so much for being on The Source.
Thank you, Jim.
AI. So many tools, so little time. What's a sourcer to do but stay informed? And one way to do that is SourceCon's AI Product Showcase. This is a very unique opportunity. Sponsors present for 5 minutes and then have 5 minutes to demonstrate live to in-person and virtual attendees how their product can solve a real-world sourcing scenario. Only a select few AI products will be featured on the main stage, so if anyone wants to share their AI product with the SourceCon community, reach out to sales@ere.net today. SourceCon community. The AI Showcase is the showcase you didn't know you needed. Always remember, SourceCon loves you.